How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another Discord Paleoart video. Just like last time, I asked my Discord server to submit all of their Paleoart. Well, not all of their Paleoart, but Paleoart that they wanted to submit. That way I could feature it in a video, that video that you're watching right now. Now, this is going to be different than the last video. The last video, I was able to get away with looking at basically everybody's art. But this time there was a lot of submissions. So at that point, there would be it'd be a very long video. I wanted the video to just be a little bit more focused and not really get drowned out in time. But keep in mind, I am going to be reopening this channel, the YouTube Paleoart channel. So if you want to, check out all of the rest of the art, definitely go and do that. The link to the Discord server is in the description down below, so definitely go and check that out and go and support all of those amazing artists because everybody did such a fantastic job with this. It was such a challenge for me to make my decisions. Everything was absolutely amazing. I was so blown away with what everybody had done. Also, keep in mind, if your photo does not show up in this video, that doesn't mean that I didn't like it. In fact, it's almost certainly the opposite because I loved basically everybody's art. You guys are seriously talented. These are just ones that I was able to whittle it down to, just some of them, So with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and get right into the video. Okay, so this first piece was done by Datch DLT, and of course it's a pair of Allosaurus. You'll also note that it's the Walking with Dinosaur color scheme, like the original Walking with Dinosaurs, which is something that I love because I think that the Walking with Dinosaur colors on Allosaurus are amazing. But you'll also notice that this is actually way more accurate. The Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus, in terms of the actual creature design, the model, it's pretty outdated, all things considered. A lot of the way that the head looks and a lot of the proportions don't really match up to what we know about Allosaurus. This, on the other hand, is certainly a heck of a lot closer, and it looks beautiful. The way that this Allosaurus looks, along with those Walking with Dinosaurs colors, just really completes everything and essentially makes my life complete. So I absolutely love this, and I think it's a fantastic start to this list. This piece was done by Ann_Dialek, and look at this. Isn't that cool? I love ceratopsians, of course, and a lot of the reasons why I love ceratopsians is with their body proportions. Something that is emphasized right here because they just have like a very interesting build with like very robust with a relatively short tail. All looks really cool. This ceratopsian, I believe it's probably Alberta ceratops, and I think it looks really cool. The colors especially pop out to me with the sort of blue coloration as the base, with some red highlights or accents rather, with the head really being like emphasized as just being red, something that just really completes the look. And those quills, I always really like seeing quills on ceratopsian dinosaurs, even though like larger ceratopsians, it's like up in the air on whether or not they had them, but I still think it's always something that's really cool to see, and here is certainly no exception. So another fantastic piece. This one's really cool. It was done by Darth_Indominus 66, which is overall a pretty cool name. It's of course a figure photograph, the beast of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaurus Rex that has been painted and of course has had a bunch of like feathers added to it. I think it's pretty cool. Adds a lot of character to it. Feels like this animal could have a bunch of like just a lot of story surrounding it. Even has like a scar on its nose. The eye over here is probably blinded, and the feathers just look really fluffy on it, and especially that red under there on the throat. And the whole head that kind of looks like a skull on the head reminds me of Dinosaur Revolution, which of course is very cool dinosaur design. But yeah, I love this. I think this looks really cool. This one is sick. This one was done by a freaking ape dude, which is another really fun name. We have a Triceratops just kind of just hanging out in the water. I love images and art that just showcase these animals doing regular animal things. And of course, this is very much a regular animal thing. And you got like a bunch of just plant life, like water plants just hanging off its horns and its schnoz over here and its frill. Just amazing dynamic work. I also really love the bird right here. You got a dinosaur that we still have around today and a dinosaur that's not very much around today, non-avian and avian. But it's very cool. The colors are also really cool. I love contrasting colors like this, where you have like a bright structure, like its frill, contrasted heavily to the body that's a lot more gray or blacked out compared, like a lot more dull. I think that's something that's really cool because it helps this structure pop, especially considering the fact that frills on ceratopsians were likely prioritized as display structures. So I love this. This one was done by Luigi 2099. Now, of course, it's hand-drawn, and it looks like Pteranodon sternbergi, one of the two species of Pteranodon, easily identified by that crest right here. I love Pteranodon sternbergi's crest because it's like really flat like this, and it has a really interesting shape. Certainly a lot cooler than Pteranodon longiceps, which is also a really cool pterosaur. Unless I got the identification of this pterosaur completely wrong, which would be embarrassing. But if that is the case, it doesn't take away from the art. I think that this stuff is really cool. This is the kind of stuff that I do. I just draw in my journal. I'm not good at it, but this is typically what I would do. And this is just really nicely done work. There's a lot of like really good detail in it, especially with these little feathers back here. All of it is really fantastic. And then this one's done by Pokesaurus. This one really made me laugh because it's just like a combination of a lot of different funny things. So of course it's like a Dinochirus mixed in with Knuckles, but also has like Perry the Platypus colors, and I, I just thought that was funny. I don't know. Of course, it's also really nicely done work. I think the Pokesaurus always does a fantastic job, and yeah, I don't know. I just had to include it. This one's really cool. It was done by TB the Siamosaurus. Now, this is Chomper. I had to I had to stop and think about his name for a second. It's actually Chomp, not Chomper. This is Chomper from Dinosaur King, which of course Dinosaur King is a huge part of my childhood. I'm sure it was a huge part of many of your childhoods. So it was really cool to see something like this, but I love this because it's Chomper made a little bit more accurate, which is, of course, really impressive because Chopper was already kind of accurate, but a lot of the proportions certainly add up or match up a lot more. Like the way that the snout looks, it's a little bit more elongated. And of course, the proportions back here with the more robust build, relatively short tail, and all that. I love it, and I love how dynamic it is. I just love seeing accurate ceratopsians, especially with a color scheme like this that I think was always really cool. And these little hints of like kind of a pink coloration in his frill. Amazing work. I love it. This one's pretty sick. This was done by Scythe. I like it. Look at these colors. Look how vibrant these colors are. Like they're very reminiscent to some like bird of paradise birds, a lot of the type of tropical birds that really just have like bright colors, and a lot of them emphasize, like mating rituals and stuff like that. I think it looks so cool. And just the insane oh, I could zoom in. I did not know that. That would have been useful. But also just the insane detail. Look at these scales on the snout. I like how they're really, like huge right here, and then they start to like kind of, become smaller as they go on. That's pretty likely for most theropod dinosaurs. I also really like this down here, this little waddle. This little waddle right here that's just blue, and you can also see like small sort of filamentous feathers, which is always something that I love to see on theropod dinosaurs. So just really good. And the jugal right here is also really cool with the more emphasized scales as well. It looks like they have like really thick skin right here and right here. Nasal portion also looks really thick with like more of a display structure. Just looks awesome. I love it. It looks like it was done. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this does look like it was done by colored pencil, which is always really cool when something like that can get pulled off. This is another one where I really like the colors, but also just I don't know. There's just something about it. This was done by Lorat, uh, and it's Dilophosaurus, which is always a really cool dinosaur. I love the way that the crest looks. It's just really jagged and just I don't know. It feels like it has a lot of character to it, and these kind of like feathers that just jut off like that. It also looks like it has more feathers like down here, so it looks like it's like way more feathered than what is typically portrayed, which it's just cool. It's just cool, and like the lime green looks awesome, complemented nicely with this sort of orange reddish coloration, and the whole shape of the skull looks fantastic. Just it's great. I like it. This was done by Anthelia. This is, of course, Path of Titans. This is the Primordial Tyrant's Tyrannosaurus Rex mod. I like the way that this looks so much because just the way that the light looks and like the fact that the T-Rex is not, it's in the middle of some foliage. So that adds like some extra depth to it. Screenshots, when they're pulled off really well in Path of Titans can look absolutely amazing. And this is a fantastic example of that. This just I love it. I think it looks so cool. I love trying like I try to get screenshots like this, but I never quite do it. And this just looks really good. This was done by Megatron, and look at that. Just look at that. We have a sauropod, unfortunately, just caught in the midst of a very bad situation. There's a lot of rain, lightning happening right behind it with a tornado. Could not get any more worse for this sauropod. Incredibly dynamic image that I don't know. I don't have much else to say. It's just look at it. It looks so cool. And I'm just telling you guys, this is why I had such a difficult time, because a lot of pieces were just amazing. And again, these are all just fantastic examples of how amazing they were. Of course, this was done by El Reptiliano. Look at the insane amount of detail in this. You know, you got like every individual scale, and they just very much look like reptilian scales. And of course, the beak as well looks really good, especially with how jagged it is. And that schnoz just looks so good. It's like a nice little profile of the hadrosaur right here. Oh, and also like this right here. I love seeing like horizontal pupils on dinosaurs like hadrosaurs, because hadrosaurs and ceratopsians, they were able to chew their food. So that means there's a good chance that they would spend a lot of time kind of grazing. If not, it would be kind of like browsing. But if there is a chance that they were grazing, then it might be possible that they'd have the pupils that are the same shape as like some modern day animals that graze, like zebras, I think. I can't remember if zebras have horizontal pupils, but you know what I'm talking about. So that's a really cool idea, because it offers them a huge field of vision that helps them see if predators are approaching. Colors are amazing on this too. It's just, and I always love seeing blue. I always love seeing blue. Uh, you know, mostly because it's like a rare color in nature. So whenever you see it, I think it's just something that really stands out. And I love seeing it on dinosaurs, especially when it's just like something that helps emphasize maybe something that might have been used for display. Like different members of the same species would use this to identify each other, or for mating purposes. All really amazing stuff. This was done by Mando Fox. Dimetrodon swimming around. That looks cool, doesn't it? That just looks, look at that. I was like, you got some scarring right here. And I think I overused the word dynamic, but this does feel very dynamic, the way that's just moving through the water, going after this unfortunate. I just combined unfortunate with poor. Wow. This unfortunate little fella right here, about to be lunch and or dinner or breakfast or one of those, with all of the vegetation around. Just so much detail to it. Just fantastic stuff. This one was done by Kenji and Chomp. Like right here, we have a Saltosaurus, of course, with all of those osteoderms that are just really nicely done, and just the whole proportions of it. And I really like how thick the neck is, and all of these little dots all over the place that really emphasize, I guess, or like highlight scales. A lot of detail in this, and like that head looks really good too. You know, especially with all that extra shading right there. Looks really cool. Quite like it. I just had to include this one. This is the raptor handler from Chaos Theory, and look at that. That's just insane. That kind of looks like something you would see on the like a steelbook cover for Chaos Theory, because that would certainly fit. You got the Atrociraptors all over the place, and of course the very creepy reptilian-like raptor handler in the center. Um, it's very cool stuff, and actually, it kind of looks like they have feathers, which is not something I noticed until now. But that makes sense because there are feathers all over the place. So that's cool too. I always love seeing feathered raptors. So you got like a little bit more of like an accurate version of the Atrociraptors with the raptor handler, and of course some sparse amounts of blood all over the place, which just adds to the creep factor. It's very cool. It's very cool. You know, and again, I wouldn't mind seeing this on like a steelbook or something like that. Oh, and sorry, I think I forgot to mention this was done by Legolas Junior Lemon. Now, this is one I just had to include. I thought that this one was just a lot of fun. You got the Spider-Man meme, the pointing Spider-Man meme, the very classic pointing Spider-Man meme, but with Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus is quite famous for being controversial in terms of its, I guess, reconstructions. And while it hasn't really had a significant change in terms of its anatomy in years, it's still like a huge talking point for people, and it's because it has had some dramatic changes through the years. Starting off, you have like the classic theropod dinosaur pose right here. It's basically like a T-Rex with a sail on his back. That's how most theropod dinosaur portrayals were at the time, because like Allosaurus and T-Rex, those were like the best basis in terms of large theropods. So they just, yeah, Then you got the Jurassic Park 3 version, which was accurate for the time, aside from the fact that it had like a baryonyx head. That is, of course, inaccurate, but at the time, Spinosaurus was thought to be like a giant baryonyx with a sail on its back. But, you know, quite a bit outdated now. Goes into the 2014 quadrupedal Spinosaurus. That was around the time when like its hind limbs were discovered and they were seen as very short, and it was thought that its center of gravity would not be able to allow it to walk on its hind limbs. So the quadrupedal stance was, you know, invented. You know, walking on its knuckles and everything. Then you get to the more modern day reconstruction. This is like like this one specifically is like post 2020, because we have found its tail, and its tail looks like this. It looks like a basilisk type tail, because basilisks, they're like a type of lizards that have tall neural spines on their tail. Makes for a very interesting structure on the back, and that's what Spinosaurus basically has. And we now know that it's bipedal. It's bipedal once again. Center of gravity was in such a way that it allowed for bipedal locomotion. I also really like the small amounts of the feathers on this, and like the little whiskers right here. I had a buddy who used to do like cartoony paleo art all the time, and he'd always put like small little whiskers on Spinosaurus. I always loved that. And I love the colors on all these guys. I think they're all really cool. So yeah, 10 out of 10. And then we have Perocetus by Dassey. Perocetus, this was a fun point. Like, of course, it was discovered a couple of years ago now. And when it was discovered, it was found from huge, just incredibly dense bones. Perocetus was a type of basilosaurid whale, you know, an ancient whale. And when it was discovered, it was thought that like those estimations at the time made it heavier than the blue whale. So it was possibly an animal that you know, dethroned the blue whale. More recent estimations makes it smaller than the blue whale, so the blue whale's still the king in that regard. But I always loved seeing artwork of it, because all the artwork would look like this, and I love this. So yeah, it's got like that type of basilosaurid type head, but with the huge body. That's kind of like a manatee, which is a pretty decent comparison to make because of how dense those bones were. Of course, manatees do have dense bones. It's something that allows them to control their buoyancy. That's something that is possible for Perocetus too. But you don't see too much art of it nowadays. Like you saw quite an uptick in art back when the Perocetus was officially described, but it's really kind of like slowed down now. So I was glad to see this, and I think it's very nice looking art. This is fantastic. This was done by Jetsker, I think, if I'm pronouncing that properly. I'm sorry. And I have definitely seen some of your art in like published papers and things like that. I'm pretty sure I have anyway, unless my memory is not serving me properly, but I'm pretty sure I have. Anyway, this looks amazing. You have an Allosaurus going up against a Stegosaurus. You can never go wrong with like, you know, the dynamic duo like that. But I also really love how you included small amounts of feathers on the Allosaurus right here. Because, you know, I'm one who thinks it's like, I'm of the idea it's like, you know, of course, we don't have any evidence of feathers existing on dinosaurs like Allosaurus or most carnosaurs, but there is a good chance that a lot of different dinosaurs did have some type of feathers, even if it was very, very sparse like this. You know, something that they just had through the fact that they probably evolved from something that was feathered. You know, it's not set in stone, of course. It's not something that's set in stone, but I just simply wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Anyway, amazing work. And I love seeing red lacrimal crests on Allosaurus. Kind of leads into that nasal ridge too. It's very cool. Very cool. And also a very nice Stegosaurus design too. That's just awesome. You can really see the throat armor here too. Stegosaurus actually did have osteoderms on its throat. Definitely could have protected it from something like old Allo here. But it looks so cool. This is from Scorpius Gamer 17. Of course, it's another Path of Titan screenshot. We have two Cryolophosauruses here. And again, same things apply to this one. When you like pull off a really like a good screenshot like this, it just looks like the actual animals in the wild. And yeah, that's just what I get from this, especially with the light that just kind of like causes them to be silhouetted. The blue on this one's throat really pops right here, which I think is really cool. And it's just really cool to see Cryolophosaurus. You know, this kind of feels like it would be something that could have happened back in the early Jurassic. That is when Cryolophosaurus lived, right? I'm pretty sure it is. Hopefully it is. But yeah, no, just this looks really cool. I love it. This one was done by the Dark Panther. Hand-drawn Innostrand Savia looks awesome. There's a lot of detail in this, and I really like the way that the skin looks. Also, the fact that you got some whiskers right here and some small amounts of what is likely fur right there. And also, it looks a lot like its skull. It just looks really good. I also really like the shading on it, and these like I suppose like sort of patterns right here around the eye. Just looks great. It just looks great. I always love seeing Innostrand Savia, and this one does not disappoint. Also, you got some spots right here. That's cool. I like that. And also, like, look at the little folds in its neck right here. That's just, the more I look at it, the more I see. I love it. And of course, paleo pencils. This is Plateosaurus. Plateosaurus, I love Plateosaurus. You know, I always love seeing art depicting Plateosaurus. I like this one because you got some green right here. Well, and also what looks like some sparse feathers up here, which is something you don't see too much of, but I love seeing it on here, unless I'm completely seeing that wrong, which is a strong possibility. But I also really like the stripes on it on the top portion right here and the stripes down here as well. It really nailed the appearance of Plateosaurus, and I really like this as well. I mean, okay, I should probably stop saying I really like this because I think you guys get it that I like all of these, but still, it's true. Looks awesome. Primal Creations. I've definitely seen a lot of your work on TikTok before, and I loved the way that this little Carnotaurus looked. I have no idea why. Just the spots and like the stripe right here and the horns. And just like it's a very nice little detailed figure. I like it. And you know, I really like this type of macro photography. In a way, it kind of makes it look larger, even though it's very small. I love it. Also, you really nailed the arms. Oh, so cool. This right here was done by Paleoart, and you want to talk about dynamic. So we got two Spinosauruses, of course, caught in a little bit of a tussle. I love seeing Spinosaurus fight each other because it feels like that'd be the type of fight that would happen the most in, you know, the late Cretaceous of Egypt, of North Africa. And it looks really good here. It's just like, who knows why they're fighting? Could it be like territorial disputes? Could it be they're fighting over a kill? What could it be? And I love it. And of course, you have a very accurate Spinosaurus, accurate to our modern understanding, as they just go at each other. And this one got bit on the schnoz. That's no bueno. But it looks amazing. Very dynamic. I also love the pterosaur flying over here. I love this. Like, this is fantastic. Again, not to sound like a broken record, but I do love seeing Spinosauruses fight each other. Because it just feels way more likely than, say, Spinosaurus versus Carcharodontosaurus. Not to say that that never happened. That most likely did happen from time to time. But it just feels like this was more of a common occurrence. This was done by Red. My face is blocking its face. Can't have that. This was done by Red. Look how cool this looks. Look. Red. Look how cool this looks. What I assume is a Megaraptorid because he had that kind of like thin snout up here, and huge arms, huge and terrifying arms with huge claws. There's a lot of this that kind of reminds me of a snake, like just the patterns right here and the type of scales. Oddly enough, really fits Megaraptors like that. But just looks fantastic. You know, just all of it looks fantastic, and I think I see some small amounts of feathers. Can never go wrong with that. I always love seeing that. But no, just once again, amazing work. And there we have it. That is what I think is like another very successful Paleoart video. Now remember, if you wish to see, or if you wish to submit some of your art, or if you want to participate in any future Dino Guy type videos, then be sure to follow or to join the Discord server, because every once in a while I do plan on doing something similar to this. I will likely do another Paleoart video. I'm trying to scroll through because I still want some of these to be seen. I do plan on I can't do competitions, man. Everybody just did such an amazing job. But I do want to do more of this. So if you're an artist and you know you want your art to be seen, you want a chance for your art to be seen in a video, then definitely go and join the Discord. And you know, hopefully we can do something like this again here pretty soon. You know, one of the biggest reasons why I like doing this type of stuff is because, you know, there's like a rise in AI art. And AI, you know, AI images, really, I don't really consider it art because it oftentimes has to take from actual art to create its own image. Like AI images, that is something that's like affecting our house. I can't speak. it's affecting our household currently. My wife is an artist. You've probably seen a lot of her art on the channel. My profile picture is her art. My uh, banner is her art. The art on my Patreon server, that is her art. So, companies and businesses and things like that choosing AI after over like hiring actual artists is something that I don't like. I don't like the fact that they're taking that direction. Um, and so I want to do more to kind of like promote artists and their amazing work because of course everybody here did fantastic work, and I'm trying to scroll through as many people as I can before I'm finished. So yeah, once again, oh yeah, and this one was a comic. This was very cool. It was a fantastic stuff, guys. Um, I loved everything. I think that everybody did a fantastic job overall. And yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this video and you like dinosaur and prehistoric related content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. That really does help out a lot. And if you want to help support the channel, support me and the channel, please consider checking out my Patreon page, as well as consider becoming a channel member. Both links can be found in the description down below. The different tiers of all of those things will give you a lot of really cool perks. So, I do appreciate each and every one of you who is supporting me through that way. You guys are absolutely amazing. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.